What experience did that give you from being gone, incarcerated and doing, what I'm saying, being away? What did you learn from that?
I mean, first thing off the top, ain't nothing live about getting locked up. But when you get locked up, you lose, and your family lose.
Right.
Your kids lose, your mama lose, everybody around you lose. So ain't nothing cool about it. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I got to see who was really who in my life, personally. I got to see what side my bread was buttered on and who was gonna be real and who wasn't.
Right.
It's a handful of rappers that wrote me while I was locked up, and they wasn't the ones I thought was gonna write.
Right.
Pimp C, Grammy-nominated rapper and producer and one half of one of hip-hop's most influential groups, Underground Kings, aka UGK, was born Chad Lamont Butler on December the 29th of 1973. Originally from Crowley, Louisiana, Pimp would later relocate to Port Arthur, Texas, where he would do his thing. Pimp's untimely and unfortunate demise in 2007 was shock to hip-hop world and fans around the globe.
At this hour, members of the hip-hop community are mourning the shocking death of well-known Port Arthur rapper Pimp C. Pimp C, who was born Chad Butler, was one half of the rap group UGK and was found dead this morning in a hotel room in Los Angeles.
A lot of people have heard that he died of a codeine overdose, which is not true at all. That was actually, the day he passed or the day that the results of the tests and whatnot were not announced, the coroner said, he did not overdose. And then you had all these newspapers that said that he did overdose. So that was just irresponsible media that came up with that story.
Although December 4th of 2024 will mark 17 years since his passing, the king of the trill still reigns supreme. As one of the most beloved figures in hip-hop, Pimp's status and respect among musicians and music lovers still remains at an all-time high. From his demeanor and slang to his personal style and brutal honesty, Pimp continues to be both an inspiration and influence, even to the younger generations of rappers that are in the game today. However, all stories don't have a storybook ending, as what would be the case with Pimp. After his passing, there would still be a mix of controversy and turmoil. These are the detailed events that would take place before, during, and after the robbery of Pimp C's Estate.
From the KBTV studios at Parkdale Mall, this is your hometown news at 6.
Good evening, Southeast Texas. I'm Jim Walker.
And I'm Sheldon Brigham. Up first tonight, thousands came out to pay their final respects to rap artist Chad Pimp C Butler. Among the hundreds in the crowds were loved ones, fans, and well-known names in the music industry.
33-year-old Butler was found dead in his Hollywood hotel room on December 5th. The cause of death is still pending. But today was about remembering Butler and his contribution to music. KBTV4's Raquel Duncan begins our team coverage live from the newsroom with more on today's service. Raquel?
As hundreds came out to say their final goodbyes to Butler, they say his memory will forever live on.
Tuesday, a hearse carried the casket of Chad Pimp C Butler into the parking lot of Port Arthur's Bob Bauer Civic Center. Moments before, it was carried inside by active pallbearers, including Butler's son, Chad Butler II, and Bun B.
I gotta come pay my respects to a pimp, Grew up on his music. Before 92, since them boys way back in the game, Without Pimp, there's no Bun. Without Bun, there's no Pimp. The boys a duo like Batman and Robin.
About 1,800 people packed the center. Among the speakers were Jeff Sledge, who asked the mayor of Port Arthur a question. Mayor, I don't want to put pressure on you, but the next time I drive down here, I hope I can drive down Chad Butler Boulevard. Mama West, Butler's mother, spoke on behalf of the family, saying, "From the bottom of my heart, I'm all right. "You're all right," because he's all right. The mayor also paid her respects, holding back tears. Many say Butler spoke highly of his hometown.
He loved it. He always, every record, every album, he mentioned Port Arthur. He's a hometown hero, as you see by the turnout today. He's a hometown hero for Port Arthur, Texas, and he put this town on the map.
It's still UGK for life, so we're gonna definitely, all these people out here, we're gonna definitely make sure we represent it.
As hundreds lined the streets while the body of Butler was taken to his final resting place, many say he lived his life cut too short to the fullest.
When it comes to naming a street sign after Butler in Port Arthur, the mayor did not want to comment at this time. Butler leaves behind a wife, 3 kids, mother, and a host of other relatives. Reporting live, Raquel Duncan, KBTV4.
The year is 2016, 9 years after the death of Chad Butler, aka Pimp C. Jefferson County court records would show that the Butler's estate owed millions to a former manager and the Internal Revenue Service. Pimp, who had made millions of dollars as half of the iconic rap duo Underground Kings, had seemingly earned enough bread to support his widow and kids, so one would think. Chad Butler Jr., Pimp's oldest son, would ask a Jefferson County district judge to remove his father's widow as the dependent administrator of his estate. Pimp's son would cite financial mismanagement and failure to distribute any portion of the estate to its beneficiary as grounds for her removal. Public records show that the estate once had a $7.2 million federal tax lien and had previously owed $5.1 million to a former manager. Chad Jr. became increasingly frustrated when his dad's widow started promoting an album, Long Live the Pimp, one of 3 albums produced since Pimp's death. The other 2 albums are The Naked Soul of Sweet Jones, released in 2010, and Still Pimping, released in 2011. Pimp's kids, outside of his widow, had not seen a single dime from the estate or any of the 3 albums. At the court hearing, Josh Hines, attorney for Chad Butler Jr., presented financial documents that showed Pimp's widow spent $150,000 of the estate's revenue from 2010 to 2013, and more than $80,000 within the past 2 years. It had become increasingly hard to track money coming in and out of the estate, with Pimp's widow as the sole administrator. The Port Arthur home that once belonged to Pimp is valued at $309,000 in 2016. A bank moved to foreclose on that home, which is located on Oakmount Drive in Port Arthur, Texas. Pimp's estate allegedly owed more than the home was worth. Money generated in music sales since Pimp's death were still small drops in the bucket compared to the debt that was owed. The Butler estate owed more than $322,000 on the home as of December of 2015, with delinquent payments dating back to August of 2009, per Jefferson County probate records. The judge found Shannara misapplied $150,000 worth of jewelry and could not account for certain estate assets. This was a total shit show. The money from the estate had been poorly mishandled, bills had gone unpaid, expensive jewelry had gone missing, and the home was foreclosed on. Pimp's Bentley was also repossessed after the note had stopped being paid for on the whip. Following a 2-hour hearing, Judge Gerald W. Eddins approved Chad Butler Jr.'s request to have his father's widow removed as the administrator of Pimp C's estate. She was removed as independent administrator of the estate in February of 2010, when attorney Fred Theobald was appointed a temporary administrator. Theobald would go on to resign in June of that year, and a month later, she was reappointed as head of the estate. On October the 26th of 2016, he was again removed as the administrator of Pimp's estate. PSA. Pimp C family say he was murdered. Public service announcement. Pimp C family say he was murdered. I need y'all to help me get the message to the Houston rap community and podcast community. I know I got y'all attention. We not gonna stick our head in the sand and act like we don't understand that Pimp C family came out and say he was murdered. Murdered. Now, this for y'all podcasters. Y'all want some content? Pimp C was murdered. That ain't no content? That's pretty big, right? Houston ain't big enough. You know, jealousy is a motherfucker. Said a lot of that with Pop. Nigga roaching off his name, acting like they loved him. Clout chasing. But nigga don't give a damn about what happened to him. Niggas bragging about murdering him, they still was alive. Nigga wasn't doing shit. They were bragging about they murdered Pimp C. Buddy was. But people don't want to talk about Buddy. I don't know why. Especially you Houston podcasters. Y'all talk about everything else. Y'all want to talk about the Houston culture and what happened? Let's talk about Pimp C being murdered. He ain't part of that culture. Houston ain't big enough. You know, chasing stories all over the United States, talking about all kind of shit. But they ain't talking about one of the biggest stories coming up out Houston, in Texas, the South, Pimp C being murdered.
Man, hold up, Elilatrell, let's go.
For me at the time, I really was in need, and I'm going to be here for him and his family right now.
This is not only the latest rapper that you've lost others recently. How is that? It's compounding on one after another.
I mean, you know, to the most part, I learned with me being a child going from these streets not to really question God, you know. Yeah, I kind of just got to let it be that.
Well, it was a beautiful sermon. You know, I think the pastor summed it up when he said it's hard out here for a pimp, but it's hope in Christ.
Lord for Jesus.
So I got that hope
tell
today,
somebody.
and you know, I can move on, and I think the family gonna move on. I think we're all gonna be great, but it was a stunning loss.
You started the hip-hop music scene. How important was Pimp C to the Houston hip-hop music scene?
Pimp C helped lay the foundation that we stand on where Southern hip-hop music is concerned. It wouldn't be the same. You know, the youth that's rapping today are more influenced by UGK and Pimp C more so than the Ghetto Boys. So, I mean, the foundation was definitely laid where they were concerned.
He was a good person. As I always described him, in one way he was like Malcolm X because he was radical. He was like Martin Luther King because he came out, tried to do the song Peace, knocking down doors. And he reminded me of Noble Drew Ali because he wanted to save souls. And like Tupac, he always had something to say to somebody, had to say something to him. And you know, we grieved today, and he was like my best friend.
We come down here to Port Arthur, Texas, to the Pimp C funeral over here at this building here called the Civic Center. This is my boy Eddie. We're enjoying ourselves. Do your thing.
What up, this is your boy Eddie with Inner Circle. Sad occasion, but hey, you know, God always willing and able, like the pastor said. Preach that sermon. It's hard out here for a pimp, but it's some help in here. I think it helped a lot of people. It was a great service. R.I.P. Pimp C.